Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Phoenix Wisdom Podcast. Today, we are joined by Christopher Jones. Christopher, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Why don't you just start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
So, my name is Christopher Jones, and I was born June 26, 1988, which is the year of the dragon.
Hmm.
My aunt used to nickname me Snapdragon. I don't know why I got nicknamed after a flower, but that's another story. And I enjoy inventing and creating stuff. That was one of my gifts from being a young child. And I never really found out, what it was going to be used for. But as time progressed, I came up with a lot of stuff. And my mom wanted me to pursue it, so I'm just trying to honor her memory.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. And I am very excited to hear your story. I know a couple of snippets already, but
Yes.
let's let's just dive right in and go back in time a little bit to what was going on in your life when you were feeling suicidal and thinking that life wasn't worth living.
So it stemmed over the course of time, 2019, it was like around December time. My mom had been working as a caregiver at an elderly patient's house, and she was giving the old lady a bath. And what happened was, because she was hemorrhaging for a while, she finally passed out after giving the person a bath. Fortunately, there was another aide there, so they had called the ambulance and they took her to the hospital. And then she was diagnosed with cancer and necrosis of the lymph node.
Oh my
They
gosh.
removed what they could, but because of the position of the lymph node, they weren't able to.
Mhm.
And it's my opinion that when they did the surgery, that she had actually died on the table. But because when you're doing surgery, despite a do not resuscitate order, they still force you to come back because it's part of
Mhm.
whatever the laws are. I don't really fully understand, but that's another story. So that led over the course of time that even though they removed it, it still wasn't going to be removed, and there's no way to save her life because necrosis is going to be consistent, and then the lymph nodes, they all interconnect.
Mhm.
So as time progressed, she got worse. She continued working all the way up to the last month of her life,
Wow.
and during the time, it was just like she was in pain, but because she doesn't believe in heavy narcotics and so forth, she wouldn't take any. So it went from just being, a mild inconvenience and, taking care of her and having to make food that was pureed and so forth towards the end. There were certain foods that she couldn't have. And it reached to the point that her insides meshed together, so to speak.
Right.
And it got to the point that for like 18, 19 hours a day, she was screaming, "Dear Lord, just let me go. I can't do this no more. The pain's too much. Just let me die," and so forth. And listening to a parent do that all the time, it takes a toll on you.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I can't even imagine.
When she finally did go to the hospital, it was a week prior to the time that she actually passed, and it was June 25th, which was the day before my birthday. So that was another story that
Oh,
was a little bit of a pushover thing. But
yeah.
she passed away July 2nd of 2021, and
Okay.
everything that she was led to believe, it didn't work out. The place that was her landlord said that I had 3 weeks to get out. So I was not only dealing with her passing, but also trying to pack. And then midway through the packing, my grandmother and I were in a vehicle, and then she got hit in the front, and we spun around doing like 270 degrees. And that was making it so I couldn't get out in 3 weeks. I had to ask for extension. I didn't go to the hospital with that issue because you can't really take time out of that when you're already on a time restraint. And fortunately, I think the only thing I had was maybe a mild concussion, and I know I had cut my tongue and I had bruising on my chest and all that. So, as everything progresses and I move out of there, I get situated. That brings you all the way up till like October, November. And then after that, it finally does get to the point where you actually you hit that break where you can relax, so to speak, and then everything
Mhm.
floods in, and then it was December when everything really took its toll on me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is so much in such a short period of time.
Yep.
And I cannot I don't understand some people. Like, you've just lost your mother and they're kicking you out of the apartment and yeah. And yeah, I've my sister had cancer and passed away, and my dad had cancer twice, so I know how hard it is um to take care of somebody with cancer. Like, it's always changing, it's never the same from one day to the next. You have
Yep.
no idea what to expect. And yeah, it's hard for them. It's hard for us to be with them and to watch and to try to help. So, yeah. And then, yeah, all the timing of her going to the hospital right at your birthday.
Mhm.
And yeah, and true what you said, you sort of push through all the hard stuff. And it's not
Yeah,
until you stop that you're like, "Oh, I just did a lot of really hard stuff. And this is what things are now." And yeah, mom's gone, new life, new place to live, everything just sort of it's overwhelming, right?
that is correct.
Yeah. So then so then what happened? So you said it was December and everything kind of hit you all at once. And then what happened?
It took a huge toll on me, like I said, so what I ended up doing was I took a look at it from the perspective of, if you want to be able to get to see her again if you're a religious person, because she was Christian and so forth, then the goal is that you wanna do good and you wanna, you know, do what you're told to do in accordance to religion, and that being said, it made me think about dedicating my life to a cause to at least give it meaning with what time I have on this earth, and
Mm,
that's what led me to slowly getting myself back on track. I worked for a person who was running a store selling different stuff, and he was a pastor of sorts, and it just kept going forward, and slowly I got to the point that now we are here today, and I'm doing going public with what I was building. Because before my mom passed away, she said, "Stop being an introvert and get out of my shell and use what I've been doing for all these years to help people," because, you know, it started back in 2013 that I had came up with I wanted to create a website where people could purchase from their favorite stores and so forth, and then through affiliate marketing, the percentages would then go to charity. But
oh, okay.
after reviewing observations of how nonprofits work and how much, unfortunately, they don't really solve, they're more like a band-aid to the problems, I
Mhm.
didn't like how that worked. And then I was like, you know what? There's got to be something better than this. So that's why I came up with what I did. I have a nonprofit called Mall of Hope, and that is going to be a one-time deal where when you put money into a cause, that should come out where it's self-sustaining. And in order to generate funds for the nonprofits and be able to be 90% guaranteed of donation to cause, I had came up with a for-profit entity as well, which is doing business as Cherish These Words, which is a family tree platform that doubles as an ability to help caregivers who are dealing with patients with dementia and Alzheimer's. Because by having information about a person, like their likes, mottos, inspirations, life lessons, pictures, and other information about them, you get to learn about the person or the patient in this case to enough of a degree that you can make a correct care plan and also know how to connect with that individual who might
Mm,
not no longer have the mental faculties to carry on a worthy conversation so you can learn how to work with them. When I was working at a memory care facility, it wasn't for long, it was for a few months, but I learned that you totally don't know what you're getting into as a new person in activity because you're like why
Mm-mm.
can't I talk to this person? Why can't I make any sense? Why don't they just, connect with this or that? And it's like, it's kind of like you're dealing with someone who's, say, 90s or whatever, and they could be anywhere from the mental state of a newborn to the mental state of a 5-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a reversal of, so to speak, and you don't really know what's going to trigger the ability to have a cognitive state of mind. Now they have sensory things like, sense smells and so forth, but without knowing what were those triggers for them, you're going in completely blind as a new person, an activity aid or a
Mm-hmm.
caregiver, and you're supposed to provide a service to keep their mental state strong, but you can't do that if you don't know nothing about that person to start with.
Exactly. That it's amazing. Yeah. My mom had dementia, so I know exactly what you're talking about. And yeah, the caregivers, especially, and they rotate and
Mhm,
they switch places where they're working. And so it seemed like there was always somebody new in there, and they have to start from scratch all over again, trying to figure out
yes.
what she liked, or even like what kind of music. Like, music is really great for people with dementia, but if you put on a country song and they used to listen to, rock and roll, they're not gonna be
Mhm,
happy with that. Like,
yes.
you have to know what they like. And even just to talk to them and, know how many kids they had, or
Mhm,
did they have any pets? Did they live on a farm? Did they live in the city? Like, yeah, having that information at hand is just incredibly useful for the caregivers. So thank you for
yes.
creating that. That's amazing. Just have
That
to,
is my goal.
yeah, spread the word, get that out there.
That's pretty much what all these podcasts have been about,
Yeah.
showcasing what I've been working on and trying to get it out into the public's eye.
Yeah. So once you realize that you had this passion and this purpose, is that what had you coping with your mental health in
Yes,
a healthier way? So you're feeling better and more hopeful now?
definitely.
Good. Good. Was there anything else that you did to sort of get out of that dark place? Or was it just, focusing on working on these projects?
For me, it was, I guess, in a way, turning it into an excuse to get to see my mom again, I guess you could say. You know what I mean?
Mm. Oh, okay. So explain that a little more.
So, like, for example, if you give up and so forth, then you're never going to be able to go to heaven and such. But if you decide to do something like this, then you still have the chance to.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you really care about someone and you want to see them again, then that's the way to go, at least an example of a scenario.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, that
I'm
makes
a
sense.
logical
But
person, so that's how I had to think
yeah, yeah,
about it.
yeah. But yeah, if in your belief system, if um there are different religions and faiths that
Mhm.
don't embrace suicide, shall we say? That's a weird way of saying that. But yeah, you won't be able to go to heaven if you die by
Mhm.
suicide, right? So, yeah, if you stay here and you do good, then
Yep.
then you will. Okay. That's awesome inspiration. I like
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah. And it's not going to be the same for everybody, but that doesn't matter. You found what works for you and it kept you here, and now look at all this amazing stuff that you're doing.
Agreed. You just
It's
gotta look at sometimes logically what is your true objective in the actions you're taking. So therefore, is that going to really get you to that objective, or is there something else that gets to the same objective with the
Mhm.
value of time?
Yes. Yes. And you're married now. So how long have you been married? Were you married before, like when your mom passed?
No,
Or
my
that's
mom had
also happened
said,
since then?
yeah, my mom had messaged me saying to go be with your Filipino princess. And yeah, I still have the text messages on my phone from my mom.
Aw.
And it took time for me to get over here the first time, and that was August, end of August, and then I stayed through till September 15th or 16th of last year. But in the meantime, we had gotten married September 11th/12th, depending upon, the 12-hour time zone if you're in the
Yeah.
States or if you're over here, and that was through Utah online marriage.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I read about that. You can do proxy weddings in Utah, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
relatively speaking, yeah.
Yeah, which means that, you can be in the US and she can be over there and
Mhm,
and you
but
can get
in my
married.
case, we were both over here.
Oh, you're both over here. Oh, okay. Cool.
Yep,
But it was a legal US wedding.
that is correct.
That's kind of brilliant and a little easier than getting married there and then having to get things notarized and filed and yeah,
Oh, yeah, the
everything
process is
afterwards.
a long process no matter where you are.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So, yeah, so you've had these projects to work on and now you're married and you've got that to look
Mhm.
forward to. Um, so are you living together? You're in the Philippines now?
Yeah, so, yeah, right now we're together.
Okay. And what's the plan for you to stay there or for her to come over to the US?
The plan is to come over to the US, but everything's gonna take time. Right now is
Mhm.
getting everything structurized. The goal is to get the businesses off the ground, and simultaneously at the moment, I'm looking for virtual assistant work because I
Okay.
have a lot of skills in IT, 'cause I have a bachelor's in web development, I have a bunch of certifications for marketing and Hootsuite and all that. So I'm
Amazing.
just, I'm trying to get everything off the ground and looking for a steady source of income. Because if you think about it, another thing that I don't like about nonprofits is how can you expect a nonprofit, a person who's in charge of it, getting the finances for it, to actually solve the problems that we're facing if they're making 1% of what they're getting in donations
Right.
without a cap? So if they're getting 3 million, then we're gonna be always in this state of repetitive actions and not solving anything. At least in
Mhm.
my scenario, for example, if you get 250K in donations for a pet assistance program, then you can get different veterinary clinics to work together to come together into like a summit of sorts, come up with a fair value for in-kind donation for surgeries, get the IRS to sign off on it, get it legally all nice and bow tied and so forth. And then now we can have a system where veterinary clinics can provide a service through in-kind donation and run that surgery as a tax write-off for the facility, and no money's changing hands, so it's 100% the cause.
Mhm.
And the individual who would actually get the benefit of this would be like those with PTSD, grand mal seizures. They would take priority of what funds that the facility can provide per year. And then the website would be set up where if you do add in donations as a patron, it's 90 to 100% the cause because now there is a level of, maintenance. We have to look at it from perspective. This is how much we have. This is how much can be allocated to this facility because they're short, whatever it is. So they're in-kind donation for this, but we're paying for the rest of the surgery because they're short. But we got to make sure that, every one of these ones that are being taken care of, we're getting a picture, we're getting a description of the surgery, we're getting proof before and after, we're getting, what is the reason why this individual was selected is because they have veterinary PTSD suffering with major, mental facilities being messed up because of something they went through,
Mhm.
and that their dog got hurt because maybe they went and they snapped into a moment in their past and the dog's trying to stop them and the dog got hurt for some reason, which you
Mhm.
can't really blame the veteran because that's what happens.
Yeah, that's
But it's
part
a
of
matter
the
of they get
disease,
back
yeah.
and then they're like, I don't know what to do for my dog because I can't pay for the dog, but I don't want to lose the dog because it's emotional support.
Right.
And at least with something like this, they can get the surgery that's needed and the dog's still gonna be loyal because dogs are loyal and they understand more than we do as humans, which is something to
Mhm.
say. And
Mhm.
the idea is just being able to be there for people who can't really find the help. There's so many different solutions that I came up with, and that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Just like, I'll give another example. Growing up, I used to see on TV UNICEF with the 50
Mhm.
cents a day help a starving family in Africa, but it's like, I'm not dissing them when I'm saying what I'm saying, just trying to give
Sure.
context. A self-sustaining solution in my eyes would be, why can't we take across the world and send appliances, electronics, cars to Africa, have
Mhm.
them dismantle it. Now we're recycling. The cost of living of, say, 50 cents a day, an individual can make, say, $7.50 a day, dismantling different things so we can recycle it, reuse it. And now we're cutting down on waste. We'll be able to make more use of the materials that are already out there.
Mhm.
And we're able to no longer be that, here's a fish, but here's a way for you to actually catch your own fish. And
Yeah.
now we're actually solving the problems.
Yeah.
So minimum wage would minimum pay a day, I should say, would be raised significantly, which would definitely solve a major problem. So like, these are what I mean by self-sustaining solutions, that once you fund it the first time, it takes care of itself going forward. And
Mhm.
that's the way my mind works, is I can see things and how they connect.
Amazing. Yeah. You're you're not wrong. This is definitely what we need, in all facets, and hopefully we can get there. We're so
Definitely.
and even, I don't know, talking it comes up fairly often on this podcast of the, sad state of mental health care, um, all over the
Yes.
world. More and more people have mental health issues, and we just don't have enough professionals and
Yeah.
support in the healthcare system.
And
So
it's taking its
it's
toll.
it's band-aids, but yeah, what if we had a self-sustaining mental health care
Mhm.
solution? And like you said, even looking at veterinary needs for emotional support animals, like that's a nobody's thinking about that. Like,
Yes.
it's
Unfortunately.
unfortunately, but it's part of it. We finally sort of got to the point where emotional support animals are recognized,
Mhm.
but only people who can afford to keep a pet and keep up on their vet costs can afford to have an emotional support animal. And so we're kind of back to square one. So yeah,
And yet we
giving
still complain
everybody
about.
access and
Mhm.
being able to have that sustain itself would be amazing.
Definitely. And that would stop the, complaining about all these animals that get abandoned and dropped
Yeah.
into different shelters because they just can't take care of their pets. And rather than have their pet, suffer, it's like, what do I do? Do I keep the dog and have it suffer with a leg that can't ever heal and it will constantly limp for life, for example? Or do I give it up? But then again, I also need it for myself, for example, in that
Mhm.
case. And in the end of the day, if they have a heart, they're gonna have to give it up. Or even if they don't have a heart, they just don't wanna go to jail, because
Yeah.
of all the regulations in protecting animals.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, we need more creative thinkers like you out there to come up with viable solutions. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any words of advice for our listeners who are in the dark and feeling like they don't have any hope?
I think the, one thing that I've come to realize with everything that's happened to me and so forth is that when you get to a point in your life, you're gonna realize that you wanna put a wall behind you in a sense, and then you can't look side to side, you gotta go straight. You
Mhm.
wanna take everything that's on your, plate and to-do list, think about it as logically as you can about what is that needs to get done, and then you wanna go through it in accordance to whatever is best suited for you. Like, for me, I like to get the easy stuff done first when I'm coding, because then when it gets hard stuff, I know the stuff's gonna be working there, and it's not gonna break down there, so I'll get to the hard stuff, and I'll do it in order of, whatever. Some
Mhm.
people say that it's best to do the hard stuff first because then, you know, it makes the easy stuff that much easier, but I don't necessarily agree because the small things give you the ambition to keep going forward, and it's kinda like, I used to do a cleaning company, so when you're cleaning something, especially like a fridge or a washer, a dryer, or whatever, because it has the ability to get that shine and you
Mhm.
can feel proud about yourself, it's kinda like that. So when you get through the day and you've done what you can, you do the same thing again because this world is definitely not easy, but you need to create that wall that you can't go back and you keep pushing hard because when you do feel like you deserve a break or whatever, and it happens with everyone. You think that, I've done all this, I've done this, I've done this. When do I get time for myself and so forth? But if you want to do a breakthrough, then you got to be able to shut everything out and you got to be able to push through for a significant length of time till you reach a suitable desired goal. Like, for example, say you were pushing through, you're breaking through barriers and so forth, and you get to the point that you have a vehicle in this case, for example. Well, then, vehicle is an asset that can be used to further along to the next agenda. So, like, you can use a vehicle to do DoorDash, you can use a vehicle to whatever to make money to offset the cost and to
Mhm.
return what you've used. And then the same thing with the house. You can get a house and you can rent it out to make money, and then you can rent somebody's house until the house is paid off, for example. And it's sort of like that. You want to always try to do what you do to not only further you being able to get a strong foundation, but also to create a level of protection. So if something ever does happen to you, then you have something to fall back on.
Yeah. Awesome. So, yeah, do baby steps
Yep,
to help keep propelling yourself forward and keep building, keep growing. Yeah, and don't look back. I love it. Thank you so much for being here today, Christopher, and sharing your
thank you.
story and your creativity with us today. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too.
Thank you for listening. Remember that you are loved, you are worthy, you are valuable, you are meant for more, and that it really does get better. If you are in crisis, there are numbers that you can call or text to get the help that you need. That information for Canada and the US is in the description below each episode. If you are in immediate crisis, please call 911. We love you, and I hope you'll listen again.